Welcome to Energy News, making news real again. Harry Truman, the 33rd President of the United States, stated, "If you can't convince them, confuse them." And confusion is a common strategy used in psychological warfare to divide. Today, we will shine some light on the Red Green Alliance, we will look into the propaganda of Free Iran and Free Palestine, and we will see how Trump is leading this fight. Okay, the Red Green Alliance is an unusual bond between radical Islamist terrorist groups and our far left Western leadership. They have entered into this absurd alliance that is so sophisticatedly embedded in our global politics, global media, and education system that they got us all fooled. Qatar plays a central role in this twisted narrative and is starring in the role of the ATM and hotel for both parties. On one side, you have the Western political figures who have sold our basic values and institutions for 2 pieces of silver, and on the other side, you have the radical Islamic terrorist groups who want to put the whole world under radical Islamic law. And apparently, we're not allowed to speak about these terrorist groups. But if we're not allowed to know these terrorist groups or share hard facts about these terrorist groups, then how are we supposed to make an informed decision? These terrorist groups are a cult of death. ISIS was founded in 1999 as an offspring of Al-Qaeda, which was founded in 1988 in Afghanistan. Boko Haram was founded in 2002 and is mainly operating in Nigeria. Taliban was founded in 1994 in Afghanistan, Hezbollah was founded in 1982 in the Civil War of Lebanon, and Hamas was founded in 1987 occupying the Gaza Strip in Palestine. All of these terrorist groups are in some shape or form connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. These terrorist groups, aka Cult of Death, have two houses. It's either Islam or it's war. Their goal is to put the whole world under radical Islamic law, and anyone who does not comply shall be eliminated, meaning that if you're a Muslim and you don't agree to radical Islamic law, which implies the following, you must be removed. So Muslims are scared of radical Islam. These terrorist regimes are spreading like cancer in the West. In the UK, they're allowing terrorists to run in elections, whereas they're boycotting women from entering the country because they used anti-immigration rhetoric, aka free speech. In Spain, they are legally immigrating and admitting 500,000 people, which happen to be all men in fighting age. And immigrant rapists are getting shorter jail sentences than the protesters that were protesting against the rapists who are UK citizens. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where Islamophobia comes in, because we are not allowed to do anything about these actions because we would be categorized as Islamophobic. And guess who planted that seed of Islamophobia? The radical Islamists themselves. This is a highly sophisticated plan. In the game of geopolitics, it's all about symbolism and signals. And symbolically, the radical terrorist groups have gotten way too far and are sending a very clear signal of potential future dominance, especially with Mamdani now being the mayor of New York because his father is directly connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. But how did it get this far? Well, one, this is a 100-year plan. We're around 50 years in. It started in the 1970s. And two, you probably voted for it. Good morning, sunshine. We've been sleeping through the revolution. Radical Islam has nothing to do with Muslims. In fact, countries like the UAE, like Jordan, Egypt, and Saudi have categorized the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist entity, whereas countries in the West, such as UK, Canada, France, and US until late 2025, did not. Super sus right there. But it does make sense because in the beginning we did mention that Qatar is staring in the role of the ATM for countries such as UK, Canada, US, France, and many more. And you wouldn't boycott your own bank and categorize it as a terrorist entity because that would cut you off from the funds. You wouldn't want that. But it's that very dirty money and those very dirty gifts that our leaders are accepting and that got us into this messy situation. And darling, we're not talking millions, we're definitely talking billions, most probably trillions of dollars.
When the establishment takes billions of dollars from Qatar. So for example, we did one study, we found 1.3 billion with a B dollars that the Qataris gave to the university in Texas, Texas A&M, which happens to have a nuclear research lab in Los Alamos. They gave $1.3 billion to Texas A&M. They funded 504 research projects. We fought for years to get access to this contract, which is supposed to be public in the United States. And we discovered of the 504 research projects, Texas A&M gave all the intellectual property rights to the Qataris. 58 projects were military-based projects, and 13 have dual use for military nuclear research. They gave the IP to a country that has good relations with Iran, with the Taliban, and with ISIS. But the establishment in the United States approved it. And the same is happening to Oxbridge and the best universities, King's College, Oxford, Cambridge. They're taking money from billions of dollars from entities, from countries and foundations and individuals who fund terrorism. But we are in bed with the people who want to destroy us. And we're selling the most important institutions in our society, the institutions that actually teach young people how to be citizens. We're taking money from people who want to destroy us.
So the reason why we're so confused is because the cult of death is working hand in hand with money-hungry individuals in the far left, but also in the right, who are selling our basic rights. And we're just over here fighting each other. This has to stop now. The Free Iran and Free Palestine movement represent that confusion and hate, because we're back to symbolism. Symbolically, these two flags represent war and terror. Even if you want to help the people in those countries, if you hold any of these flags, it will show that you are supporting the very organization that is terrorizing the people in that country. Palestine's Gaza Strip is occupied by Hamas. Hamas is the most radical and dangerous terrorist group there is. Even Al-Qaeda was scared of them. Iran is occupied by the IRGC and a multitude of other terrorist groups. In just 14 days, the IRGC, which is the terrorist regime governing Iran, holding 90 million people hostage for over 47 years, killed 50,000 people of their own country because they were protesting against the regime. They are still executing people and they are killing the doctors that were trying to help the wounded. That is repression, oppression, and dominance and terror at its finest. At the core, this is a fight for democracy and freedom. And I cannot believe that in 2026 we're still fighting for freedom, but it doesn't surprise me because they made us so comfortable that we didn't even realize that we were imprisoned. And with our ignorance and silence, we are jeopardizing the hard work of our ancestors that fought for our freedom. And it's time that we take action and support any entity that is putting their foot down against terrorism. And in our case, the only entity that is publicly putting their foot down against radical Islam as well as Western corruption is Trump, supported by Elon and co. All the other geopolitical entities are scared of radical Islam, rightfully so, because these are extremists. They kill you in the name of Allah just because they felt like it. And all the other Muslim countries such as UAE, Jordan, Egypt, Saudi, they want nothing to do with radical Islam. The UAE doesn't even want to send their students to Britain anymore because they say it's too radical. That's how twisted things are. And why is Trump putting his foot down? Well, we have hit a threshold where these terrorist Islamic groups are no longer random background noise, but if they don't get stopped now, they might become the very essence of our reality. And that threshold was hit with Mamdani becoming the mayor of New York on the 1st of January. A charismatic, young, well-educated, well-spoken man. I don't want to disrespect anyone, and I will only mention facts. Mamdani's mother is an Indian-American filmmaker connected to Hollywood, and Mamdani himself and his father are...
We have Mr. Mamdani, who was an SJP, Students for Justice of Palestine, organizer at Bowdoin College in Maine, in this fancy liberal arts college in the forest of Maine. His father was a big professor at Columbia University. Students for Justice of Palestine comes out of AMP, American Muslims for Palestine. AMP is the Muslim Brotherhood. So you have now the second generation of highly educated, the best universities, of smart, charismatic young people who are now changing the discourse from the radical left, radical Islam.
And now that we know that nothing is as it seems, I will let you do the thinking on the matter of ICE and Trump with this picture over here. This Saturday, 14th of February 2026, is World Freedom Day. We are collectively getting together to not only walk for the people of Iran, but to walk for the freedom of the whole world collectively. I'm excited about our future, and let's get the party started.